I've hit more brick walls than most people have ever built.
You work relentlessly.
We only put on social media 10% of what we do.
All the people at the top of investment firms, how much money do you think they make? Most of these high-earning banking investment professionals will be on minimum of £500,000 a year.
You wouldn't invest with someone that's skint, right? I wouldn't.
Welcome back to The Founder and the CEO, our podcast series. I'm Christian Woollard, my partner, Lewis Hall, and we're here today just to kick off those bumps in the road when you're in business. We're talking about the hard truths. Working in business, building companies.
The hard truth of being an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it seems, right?
That's for sure.
I mean, let's be honest. It's certainly been a journey from, I think, both of us, both personally and then unique. I think more so in the last 12 months. I think we're forever feeling like we're just up against a brick wall that's building bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, we have challenges on a daily basis. I mean, people say, oh, it's all right for you guys, you're doing well, but they have no idea of the work, the effort, the hardship that we go through, the work level we go through. We work throughout the night, we work at weekends to get to where we're at and 100%. Trying to build a business and turn it into an enterprise level company.
It's like funny you say that. What makes me laugh, I saw something on Instagram, and I won't say what account it was, but it was someone pretty much saying, sack your 9-to-5 job, set up a business, and I think the graphic in the background was some sort of beach, and go sit on a beach. It's like that management company that says, become a property manager and run your Airbnb system on a laptop on a beach, right?
I think I know the one you're talking about.
But no, all companies say stuff like that, and I think the people that actually say it don't actually have never done it, right? I think that there's a common cause in that.
Well, there's a difference between just running a small business, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people employed, and you're sealing yourself at a certain level. You might have a marginally comfortable life.
Correct.
There's a difference in we're building a £100 million plus business, and the challenges that come with that. And I think the important point on those challenges that we face on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, the way in which we can tackle those challenges is the experience that we have from challenges in the past.
Firefighting, I call it.
Firefighting all the time. And, you know, how you and I come together as a partnership.
Yin and yang, as I call it.
Yeah.
In the word business itself, I think there's many different types of businesses. And what I mean by that is there's a lifestyle business, or there's a serious business that's going to create you wealth, etc., etc. But ultimately, whether it's a small business, a large business, or whatever you want to call it, it's not easy, right? And a lot of people seem to think that running a business is easy. There is multiple challenges that are out of your control, whether that's I don't know, anything like the weather or legislation, the government, taxes, HMRC, staff. I could go on and on and on, suppliers. And it just goes on and on and on, right? But then also, is at the same time, it's like a lot of people realise that watching our content that we put out there, and excuse the pun, we are unique, but we run at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and a lot of people say, why do you do that? And I always say, look, we work in the property industry, and mainly back when we were doing the letting side of it, the lettings world moves very quickly. Yep. By the time you go book a viewing, you go there, it's gone. So I've taught myself to move even quicker than Lewis moves on a normal basis, which is very fast-paced.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good to throw some examples in of challenges that we've had over our business lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, if I go back a long time ago, probably 1996, that's how long I've been knocking about. I was pitching the US military to do a contract with them. It was outside of property, but it's the point of self-proving yourself on a continuum basis. So I had a trip that was basically throughout Japan. So it was flying into Japan, going to Misawa, Okinawa, Guam, and pitching a software product I had at the time. And so going back to 1996,
was this the recording thing?
Yeah, it was voice recording,
that was it.
Transcription services, all that sort of stuff. And I presented it to the managing director to sign off on the trip. It was about nearly £4,000. Now that doesn't sound a lot today, but back then that was a lot of money.
Imagine.
And they said, if you don't come back with an order, you're paying that amount of money. That's coming out of your sales check.
That was the company you worked for?
Yeah, that was the company I worked for back then. I was a young 26, 7-year-old, somewhere around there.
Did you sell it?
And so I did the trip, and I did the multiple viewings, all the rest of it, to the different places, stayed on the military bases, which was fantastic fun. I came back with a sales order of £300,000.
Wow.
And not only that was just for the capital equipment, and then I negotiated and got a further £120,000 in management fee for
cheeky
looking
upsell.
after. Yeah. So I came back, so there's the order, and they were like, okay, we trust you, we believe in you. And so that was a young age of being able to just say, I believe in what I'm doing. I know I'm capable of doing this. Trust in me, but sometimes you've got to just back yourself.
100%. You got to believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in, look, there's many talented people in businesses, but there's also many people that work ridiculously hard. And there's a saying that working hard outbeats talent, right? And it's something that, look, let's be honest, I've got no GCSEs, I'm dyslexic, and I've had many challenges. I've got ADHD, so I run around like a million miles an hour. Everyone in the background's probably laughing and smiling. But no, many challenges, I could sit here for hours.
I would actually say you run at 2 million miles an hour.
But look, one of the biggest challenges that I had, especially when I got in the corporate world, it was a world that pretty much most people thought that Lewis didn't belong to, because trying to construct an email back in the day was embarrassing. I remember sending, because I worked in a recruitment company, Staffline, a large group, and I worked my way up to a regional manager. When I first started as an account manager, I'd get excited and blast out these emails, and I've got one that's actually framed in my house, and my account director at the time, Gavin Wright, absolute legend of a man, he helped me massively, tremendously, took a lot of risks in me, and he was laughing. He was like, Lewis, if you read your email back, you've sent that to like the director of Tesco's. I was like, what's wrong with it? What's right with it? And I'd read it back and I couldn't see anything wrong with it. And fast forward a couple of years, I look back and I'm like, fucking hell. What on earth was I doing? And I would send these emails at like 1 o'clock in the morning, getting all excited. I've got these ideas.
Yeah.
Tesco's wouldn't even bother reading them. I sent one to an Amazon director and I bumped into a couple of months later. She was like, oh, you're the boy that sends the long-winded emails that no one reads, and it's an unreadable email. And it's something that I now don't do. But I think small things like it's expressing yourself, and I would get so frustrated with people around me that I would try and get super creative at a young age, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people because I couldn't communicate that.
Yeah.
Like now, as you know, I'm a visual person, so it's like when you come up with a business idea about a year ago, I didn't understand it, put it on a whiteboard, and Lewis gets created. So back in the day, I would struggle to get what was in my head out of my head and to the people I was explaining it to, because I was explaining it wrong, potentially on an email, for example. It just wouldn't work. So I learned then to do visually things. So I would have meetings and I would stand up and I'd wave my arms, and it just happens naturally. And then I'd explain it differently from my point of view, and they'd be like, that makes sense now. Let's do this, let's do that. I mean, that was just one of
but
many
you've got a
challenges.
lot. You come across. You've got a lot of passion. You've got a lot of energy, and you have a complete can-do attitude.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what the obstacle is. Doesn't matter what the hurdle ahead.
There's always a way around it, right?
How do we get around it?
100%.
I mean, I've always viewed life in business as you're in a circular box, and that circular box has multiple doors that run all the way around the circular box.
Right.
And when you enter, and there's the challenge in the middle, there's always a door to get out of or move out of and around.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And that's the way I process things. I mean, they give you a snap. I mean, the belief thing in being a sales entrepreneur through to a business entrepreneur, that belief in yourself and backing yourself. And if I go right back to the beginning of those military contracts I was dealing with, I was at a trade show in America. I think it was in Orlando. It was the last day of the trade show. A woman turns up on the stand. We were partnered with an American firm. Turns up on the stand. She says, "Well, I'm based in Korea, in Seoul, and
I've heard this story before.
we really like your product. Would you be able to come and show us?" And none of the American guys wanted to know. They're just like, because America's so big, they've got the business there already. And I said, "Of course, I'll be there next week." So I was there, did a presentation. Got the deal. That was about an £80,000 deal. The general that I was dealing with there, Lieutenant Colonel. Sorry, he was a lieutenant. We call it. They call it Lieutenant Colonel. Whatever way, splitting hairs. He all of a sudden, after he placed the order, he said, "I can't do the order because you're not an American company. We've got the Buy America Act." And I said, "Well, that's fine."
What does that mean?
It means they have to buy from an American company or a company in America. And I instantly just said, "That's not a problem. We'll just put it through our New York office." He said, "Have you got a New York office?" I said,
I do now.
I do now, yes. And I did. So I set up we have so many of them now where you can have workspaces in different parts of the country, cities, whatever. So I set up a serviced office in the Empire State Building.
As you do.
And these back in the days where it wasn't transferred in terms of money, was transferred electronically.
Yeah.
So we had to wait for the check to come into the New York office and then get forwarded over to us, and then we set up a US dollar account over here and put the money in, etc. But that opened up a journey for me within that sector. And then there was a large organization called SAIC down in San Francisco, huge company, hundreds of thousands of employees all over the world, and they had the contract to manage all of the military bases in terms of IT support and so on and so forth. And these were IT products. And I got invited to go and see their senior management team. Now, here I was a 25, 26-year-old, suited and booted, probably a bit cocky, a bit jumped up. And I met them in a hotel in San Diego because their headquarters in San Diego. I sat down, but before I did that, a friend of mine, his father was CEO of McDonnell Douglas, the aviation company. I said, look, I've got this meeting with these guys. I have no idea what to say. And so have humility. Have humility to don't think you can do it on your own. Utilize that experience and from people that have been through it all.
100%.
So I sat down with him and he said...
Stronger together, right?
Yeah. Exactly, and he gave me an invaluable piece of information about that business. He said they're going to hate the fact that you've sold into their patch and that you want to take the maintenance contracts on those that equipment. He said, I know you're young, but he said stand firm, don't give anything to them, and just say I'm going to do this anyway, or you can work with me. And so I went into this meeting in San Diego. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and all these 50-year-old guys, which I happen to be one of those now, but I felt slightly intimidated. I think I had a few gin and tonics before I walked in. And I basically said that to them. I said, look, we're doing this anyway, so we'd love to work with you. If you don't want to work with us, then that's up to you. And that opened the door then to the whole global area, because there's US military bases all over the world.
Confidence is key, right?
Yeah, so I basically said, you can have the service contracts, and we sell all the equipment. And they said, that's fine. We'll introduce you to every single base, nationwide, internationally. And so I was all over the world. And it was a great partnership. And funny enough, they had to deal with all the hassle and the headaches. So it was perfect.
Don't ask, you don't get, right?
Exactly.
I can remember a story. We was, how old was I? 24, 25. I was an inspiring account manager for the Staffline Group. So we used to supply the likes of Tesco's, Amazon, Two Sisters, Sainsbury's, blue-collar staff. So anyone with more than 100 staff, Staffline would supply them. Then they got involved in the white-collar stuff. Then they got involved in the government stuff. The biggest challenge that they had was the logistical of moving staff around. So, for example, what I learned was fascinated. So we worked for Tesco's distribution centre, which was the largest one in Europe, and we helped set it up. It was massive. You look down it was like 15 football pitches that way, 100 lorries moving an hour. But when I first started there was no one in there, no pallets, and it was the biggest, and I think it still is the biggest one in Europe. But the challenge they had was the forecast of people spending. So the Tesco's distribution centres is basically a bigger version of a store. So the way that the stores are laid out is the same in the warehouse. So for example, as someone goes around a warehouse picking all the boxes, if you go to the Tesco store, it just comes out the same way.
Yeah.
And the system, so when the tills are purchasing the products, it automatically picks them in the warehouse. So let's say, for example, the sun would come out in Britain, everyone go and buy boxes of beer, alcohol and water. So overnight, there'd just be a mass orders of certain alcohol and boxes, but then if it rained, no one would go to the shop. So depending on the weather, so you could have one day 300 staff, the next day 700 staff, the next day 1,000 staff, then there'd be a store up north that needed an extra 200 people, and the worst part of the company was the logistics of moving these staff around, and no one wanted to do it. And I was like, well, I'll give it a go. We used to plan staff, so me and Peter, someone that worked for me for many, many years, even went on to Unique, which most staff did when I left the business. But I would love it. I was known at Tesco's through the whole business. If you needed to move staff around, ring Lewis, he'd make it happen. Because it wasn't my money, we didn't have any budget, so I'd be like, well, let's get some coaches, let's get some hotels, put them in some HMOs, do that. And we become very good at it. We become award-winning good. No one wanted to do it because it was an absolute nightmare.
Did anyone say to you at that point, you're just wasting your time doing that?
Most people.
Yeah.
And it was like...
Because there's a point I'll come to in a minute.
I was progressing very fastly, as you can imagine Lewis does in this company. And one thing that everyone said stay away from is outsource that because we've got these agents. But I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then fast forward on to 3 or 4 years later, when I set up Unique from an accommodation point of view, I thought this is a walk in the park. If I can move thousands of people around all these hotels, and I can fill property accommodations, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
Yeah, because I think, as we're talking about business challenges and that learning curve, one thing I hate is when someone says, you're wasting your time. Now, if you are wasting your time and there's a valid reason for it, then fair enough. But if you truly believe in something and someone says, I think you're just wasting your time on that, forget about it, move on, move forward.
Yeah.
Now, I'm all in favour of thrashing out ideas, as you and I know. I mean, the product that we came out with last, where you said, Christian, I think you're just wasting your time. And I was like, and I got a bit aggressive and said, no, I'm not. You got to understand that.
I couldn't understand it. And I remember I was I was with my PA and was driving through the IDR in Reading, which is like a motorway, I suppose. What was I? I was in the Range Rover. I was in the truck, sorry. And you had called me, we were excited, you'd had this idea. And I wasn't in traffic, and I was on a hands-free phone, so I was nice and safe before anyone says anything. And you had this idea, and I could see the excitement. I was like, how's that going to work? I just couldn't see it. And I was like, and let's be honest, at the time, that was when we had some major challenges financially. We'd just lost a lot of money, so we were trying to get creative as we do. And I remember you come up with this idea and I was like, but how's that HMO going to link with that? I just couldn't see it. And you were getting quite frustrated, and I was like, fucking hell, I've never seen Christian frustrated like that before. And I remember who was I with at the time was like, fucking hell, and they didn't understand what it was. Just most people don't understand our conversations. And we come back in this very room with the whiteboard over there, and you were like, just leave it with me, because you knew what I would see. So you mapped out this product, and I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah, you could do that, to move that. That then works. Most people in the whole industry obviously don't think like us. Let's be honest. Most people copy all of our ideas, our marketing, our products.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. Look, that used to annoy me.
It's a compliment.
You don't copy shit, right?
No, exactly.
But fast forward to where we're at now, some of the stuff you just physically can't copy because you haven't got what we've got. But let's look at that product as an example. Most people in the industry, because as Lewis likes to do, we put out some teasers and everyone's like, oh, that isn't going to work. I think the first month it done 1.2 million. And let's fast forward to the last month when we physically stopped it. And that's another powerful position to be in. Let's be honest, most sales companies are there to sell. We're in a powerful position where we don't have to do that anymore.
It's an important point on that, because ultimately, as a progressive property business, we want to safeguard our clients. And so we put those safeguard points in place to protect them long term. And so we have pauses in place. So it's not about just sell.
And also, let's not forget, we're excuse the pun again, we're very unique. A lot of people sell other people's products, and it's all about making fees and making money. There's nothing wrong with that. Money makes the world go round. But what we do at Unique is truly different, because everything we do is in our names. We are the landlords, and that's where most people don't realise what we've been doing in the last couple of years. And I don't want to, let's not go on to it and say numbers for this episode, but the way that we've structured it, so everything's in our name. One, we're becoming some large landlords, and it's creating some wealth. But the rent rolls that we've created back on the contracts, that is basically the product. But because we are not only entrepreneurs and business owners, we are true property operations, where most people just talk shit. Most people talk shit to sell you training courses or mentoring. I think we're one of the only few companies out there that 90% more do the operations, and we're not here to sell any educational products. But the point I'm trying to make is we have that power to go, we don't need any more investment. We're going to keep all the profits for now. We might launch it back soon. But going back to that idea that you said, I think the last month we netted, gross 3.75 million in 4 weeks, paid in the bank, happy investors, which is it's outstanding, right?
And if you look at the Trustpilot reviews, they're racing away now.
86 5-star reviews back to back.
Yeah. So
and just on that, this is another. There's lots of challenges in business, and what we've done, and it kind of keeps saying it's truly unique. we've had many times we've evolved. We've had self-employed salespeople. That comes to its pros and cons. Everyone that you see around us in this HQ, downstairs, upstairs, all works directly for us. Yes, there's a bonus scheme, but effectively they're all on salaries. Their job is to advise. They're investment advisors. They're not salespeople, and ultimately they get paid a bonus if and when their client leaves a review. That culture. Last night at about 9:30, I was getting tagged in some Instagram posts, staff showing off their reviews. It's phenomenal. The clients that see that culture it's special.
But then as a challenge, as a business, we get competitors on a pretty much over the last month, we get them on a daily basis. Just throw in a 1-star review. They're not even clients of ours. They don't even know what we're doing.
It's frustrating, right?
It's so frustrating.
But that's just because we're passionate to showcase what we're doing. And when some idiot comes along and goes, let's just leave them in one. I think these people, there's one the other week, I think this is a scam. So I'm leaving a 1-star review. We left it on there, but look, we talked to Trustpilot, and they're there to support businesses, and stuff like that does get removed. But it's frustrating.
Yeah, ultimately, the ones that they get removed. But this is just an additional headache. We don't need it, but it's not going to affect us. We'll carry on.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll keep fighting, as we always do.
Look, there's going back to the concept of what we're talking about, the challenges in business. A lot of people just they see the success. They see the trips to Dubai. Like, there was a review recently. Lewis spends all your money in Dubai. You could make it up. 1, I holiday in Dubai. 2, I work extremely hard. But it's not. This hasn't happened overnight. We've been doing this. I mean, I've been doing this for well over 20 years. Unique has been running since 2016. You've been an entrepreneur, like you just explained, for a very, very long time. We nearly lost everything in COVID. We did lose everything in COVID. We could have ended up the company 3 or 4 times. I've hit more brick walls than most people have ever built. I've built a few brick walls. There you go. That was an anecdote, whatever you want to call it.
And I can attest to the fact that when you're in Dubai, whilst you might want to have a bit of downtime, you work relentlessly. You're networking, you're meeting developers, you're meeting investors.
And that's something I enjoy, but it's like the point I was trying to make, and I always go off subject here. A lot of people look at let's be honest as well, I would say social media has changed, it's ever evolving, but for us as a business, especially myself as an entrepreneur, I have changed my social media because I'm very wary of the reach that we have. We have millions of people watch what we do, and I'm very proud to showcase that. But we're not. Let's call it what will they call it? Dick swinging. I've got the old Lewis Hall would have been 2 years ago. I've just made 2 million quid and stuff like that. But that then brings a lot of negativity to it. So we're very careful. And I would say we only put on social media 10% of what we do. But like going back to it, I love my cars. Some people like, I don't know, doing drugs. Some people like doing that. Lewis just likes working. I like getting creative. I like helping people. Do I like making money? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I had an investor reach out to me.
But so sorry, the point I was trying to make is I like my nice cars. I like my watches.
It's on your car point. I had an investor reach out to me, and he said, I think it's absolutely awful that Lewis Hall's has a Rolls Royce. And I said, how does that, how do you work that out? And he said, well, I mean, he's blatantly showing he has a Rolls Royce. I said, yeah. He's bought the Rolls Royce.
Well, you could argue it's a BMW, but that's for a different conversation.
It's a posh BMW. He's bought it in his name. It's not in the company's name.
Absolutely.
Whatever he wants to do with his own private wealth is entirely up to him. And I said, the important point I said to the investor, I said, all the people at the top of investment firms, how much money do you think they make? And how many flash cars do you think they've got? Because all of them will have a stable of probably 6-7 cars. They'll have, ranging from 100,000 through to 600,000-700,000 pounds. Most of these high-earning banking investment professionals will be on minimum of £500,000 a year.
Easy.
And he said, that's a very valid point. And I equally said to him, Lewis is a founder and a director of a very successfully growing business. Would it not say to you that he's in a position that he can afford himself in his own personal name to go and take out a lease on a car that is an aspiration for some people, that's a company I want to be dealing with? And he said, the way you put that, Christian, I'm 100%. And he came on board and did another investment. So.
I think I know who you're talking about. Look, do you know, I get it. I get from what we do and from where I've come from, same as yourself, right? We've both come from fuck all. I come from a broken family, etc., etc., etc. The world was against me. I've got ADHD or and all that crap. I couldn't give a shit. I don't like to name it, all I like to name it is my name's Lewis Hall. That's it. I've got ADHD. I'm dyslexic. I can't do that. It's an excuse, right? As you know, I put my clients first, our clients first. I put the staff first. I'm the last to get paid. I think last year there was a stage where I didn't pay myself, similar to yourself. No, we didn't pay ourselves for a good 6 months. We put our staff first. There's people out there as entrepreneurs go, you got to pay yourself first, your staff later. Fuck it, I just don't get that. But no, the point I'm trying to make is, look, you wouldn't invest with someone that's skint, right? I wouldn't.
For sure.
Like for example, if you're gonna invest in a company, and the bloke's broke, has got no money, and drives a Skoda, and you're about to put into a property investment, you'd think twice, right? But if you're going to invest with someone, and some people probably laugh at this, but it is what it is.
We've had people come to us.
But just on that, just because you've got flash cards doesn't mean you're successful, right? I know many people that post Lamborghinis on social media and broke as fuck. But no, ultimately, I like my cars, and do I like showing them off? Absolutely. It is what it is. If you don't like it, press the three dots or whatever it's called and block me. But no, look, to me, it's not showing off. It's showing off to myself. I don't think I'm better than anyone other than myself, better than what I used to be. And like what you said, these aren't. Someone said, it's Lewis leases his cars. Well, you go and try and fucking lease a Rolls Royce and see how much money it costs. Even if it was leased, do you know how much hoops you have to jump through to lease a car like that?
Well, and you've got to put a lump down.
But yeah, but just to confirm, they're not leased, they're not financed, they're owned by me personally. And believe it or not, I look at them as assets. Yes, they are depreciating assets, but it's all about what you buy them for, like what you buy a property for. And I buy my cars quite well. I think the last 6 cars that I've bought, I've made money on. So yeah.
So there we are. So let's come back a bit to
absolutely
some business challenges that we've faced, that you faced, I faced over. I've been in business over 30 years. You've been in business 20 years. The challenges that we've faced, the struggles, the uphills. I mean, you know, where do you start? I mean, you got the banks, you've got taxes, you've got government, you've got staff, employees. I mean, currently, we love all of our staff, but I would say one of the major challenges in building a business is getting the right staff. And we have a great array of people, personalities, lovely people.
Do you know one thing, and I agree with that. Do you know one thing that I've learned, and it's something that, as you know, and even the people filming this probably smirking, I get very, very, very frustrated with expectations, myself and the people around me, let's be honest. And that's not a dig at anyone around me. I'm forever pushing people to rise. It's like if you made £1 million, just go and do it again. If you can make 1 million, you can make 2 million. They say your first million is hard, your second one's easy. It's correct. But it's like one thing I learned about myself, and Gavin taught me this, and he was account director at Staffline. I was a regional manager, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get my region working how I wanted to. So underneath me, I controlled the whole south for Tesco's on behalf of Staffline. I worked for Staffline as a regional manager. I had five distribution centres, each centre. So we had an on-site model. So it basically worked for Tesco's, at Tesco's. So we'd have a contract. Each site had a contract manager. You'd have 3 account managers, one for the morning, one for the afternoon, one for the evening shift, because it was a 24-hour operation. Each account, a contract manager would have 3 account managers. Each account manager would have 10 or 15 supervisors. The supervisors would have, depending on the site, Reading had 2,000 staff as an example. So as you can imagine, it was an absolute headache, but I fucking loved it. But I learned very quickly that people, when you employ them, yeah, I can do this, but can they? And then it's like in the first 2 months of someone's employment, they're a shining star, and then they just go down. And unfortunately, that still happens to this day, because it's like anything, you want to impress, but then people come out of their shell and they start relaxing. But not only that, it's like when you set, let's say, for example, you have a budget, and that budget at that time was worth hundreds of millions. So I'd map it all out. That person's going to do that, and you like to showcase what good looks like, right? So I was based in Reading, that's where we live. So that was my Rockstar Centre. It was a brand new site. I'd had it run my way because I'd been there for a couple of years. I had it running like a well-oiled machine for daily meetings at 9 o'clock, for 10 o'clock for this, how we trained them, how we done that, how we praised staff. We'd have boards outside. Staff would love it. We'd communicate with them. I'd be in a warehouse at 6 o'clock in the morning on 6 pallets clapping, in going, come on, let's add value. And Tesco's would look at me going, this bloke's fucking bananas, but we love him. We won a $1 billion contract because of me. And I'm proud enough, not just because of me, that's wrong, the whole organisation. But I spearheaded that. But I learned very quickly many challenges, because what you want to try and input in business doesn't always work that way. You can put together a budget. You can put together, like we do to this day, we can put together an operation on a piece of paper or a board, and it looks fantastic. But then you're relying on people to make that work, and they won't have the vision of you. And I remember Gavin saying to me, you're never going to find someone like you, Lewis. You just won't. You're never going to find someone like me. And then they had a philosophy, just recruit two. And I couldn't understand it. They were like, just recruit two people. Like, if you want someone to work till 8 o'clock at night, get someone that's going to finish at 5 o'clock and get someone else that was part-time in it. And I couldn't really get that concept, because I was managed underneath a budget. And that's why everyone around me knows that I just love budgets and numbers, because that's what business is based around. Business is about making money. If you're in business to offer a service and not make money, then you're fucking stupid, because business is about making money, right? It's making net profits. Don't get me wrong, there are some businesses and organisations like charities, etc., etc. But if you set up a business not to make money, you might as well just go fucking work at McDonald's or go get a very well-paid job, right? And that's just my opinion. But anyway, I quickly learnt that people weren't always like me. My plans never come to fruition. And I thought, what am I doing wrong? So my leadership would sit me down, it's not you, it's everyone else. Build a different plan. I was like, but hang on a minute, your budget doesn't allow me to have these staff. And they were like, deal with it. So I would work 10 times harder, and out of like 5 or 6 staff, you'd get ones that would want to go to the next level, and they'd go above and beyond. But majority of staff wouldn't do what you wanted them to do. Let's be honest, most staff don't do what they're paid to do, because they're not entrepreneurs, they're not business owners. They think like humans, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about getting the right balance, because trying to find, and I call them rock stars, trying to find rock stars in recruitment is challenging. Like, look, let's be honest. Look at some of the salaries that we pay. You can throw money at things. It doesn't always get the results that you want. No. And when you find those right people, it's like Richard Branson says that you can, one of his mottos, that I had it plastered everywhere, train staff so well that they can leave, but treat them so well enough they'll never leave. Exactly. So I followed that motto, and we'd never have any staff quit. Like, it's today unique. I don't think anyone ever quit because of the way that we treat them. But that being said, it's still very, very challenging, because as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you map out something, but the reality, because you're based on a lot of moving parts and a lot of human error, right? And as much as you can have a 9 o'clock meeting and lead these people and go, come on, let's go do X, Y, and Z, after an hour, it's very easy then to get distracted, and that becomes very, very challenging.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Richard Branson one, because I know that saying.
I literally had it plastered everywhere. I've got a picture of I think it was me at the time, and I got a lot of trouble for it, because I didn't make out like it was my quote. Do you know what, you write a quote, you're supposed to write who is it from? Yeah. I didn't. No one ever taught me that was you're supposed to do. So I had this big picture of Lewis back in the day. I think it was in my uniform with the quote underneath it. And everyone would be like, "You trying to steal the quote?" I was like, "No, it's his. I just copied it." They're like, "Put his name on it." I was like, "Oh, that's why you see it when you're on quotes, where you put it at the bottom." Yeah. But you learn, right?
I knew a few people that work for Virgin Airlines, and they said, yeah, they love the quote, but
the reality is different.
The reality is so different. They pay us shit, and we all want to leave because we need more money. But that's life, and you get. I think the challenge with recruitment is obviously people want to sell themselves. You can have someone that interviews incredibly well but does the job really badly. You can have the other way around, someone interviews badly and they are actually the rock star.
It's like, and sorry to interrupt, you know what I learned very quickly? We used to go through thousands of CVs. So we used to recruit, so this is blue collar workers, so these are pickers and packers. The churn at some of these sites were like 50% on a weekly basis. So a lot of the staff, let's be honest, a lot of people in this country don't want to work. So Tesco's model was, without people realising it, was to target the European market. Yep. So Staffline would go and put a Boeing 747, whatever it's called, to Poland once a week and bring in hundreds of people. Yeah. And I got involved in that, and I used to bring in, it sounds like I'm an illegal smuggler of workers. We used to employ about 400 people a week across our sites. 200 of them would go after the week, etc., etc., etc. But so we'd sit there and go.
We were part of the European Union at that point.
Well, it changed after that, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, you can see Lewis goes off subject. We'd go through everyone's CVs, and I'd sit there and be like, I'd become the master of picking good people in their CVs. I quickly realised the ones that I was picking would just talk shit and then do it. So I'd done it differently, because this was large scale recruitment, and Tesco's, to be honest, didn't like it. I'd get 200 people together in a room, and I'd just do a pitch. And we used to do it like, me and my staff would literally pick out the people, because I become very, very good at a good judge of character. And I'd literally just have conversations with people, and I would tell the ones that would not turn up tomorrow, etc., etc., etc. So we started doing mass interviews. And what I quickly found out over the years, especially when we started recruiting like account managers, not necessarily pickers and packers, right? But when you start recruiting managers, salespeople, different conversation, don't get me started on that. But when you start recruiting managers and senior managers, you look at their CVs and you're like, fucking hell, that's a rock star. And then some gormless person would turn up, you're like, this isn't you. So I would refuse to read people's CVs because what you'll find is there's really good people out there that can be an operation manager, but he could be shit at creating CVs, but his job's not to do that, if that makes sense. So I quickly found that most people's CVs that look all singing, all dancing, are full of fucking shit.
Is that why your team was filled with the most beautiful Eastern European women?
Let's leave that there. But no, it's, and I quickly learned that, I'm not saying that most people talk shit, but 99% of them do, right? Especially in the property industry.
So cracking it back to...
Let's leave that there then.
Let's just crack it back to actual...
challenges in business. Firefighting. Let's explain. So let's discuss firefighting for people out there. What's firefighting?
Well, firefighting is putting the fires out that crop up across the business at any particular point in time. You always have cash flow firefighting.
Give an example. Give an example. Just one. Cash flow.
So cash flow is one. How do you deal with cash flow? We're building a business, got a lot of overheads. If the sales team don't perform, where's that? Where we can't just produce cash out of thin air.
Do you know what I learned about firefighting? It's you can put out as many fires as you like; they keep coming back, right? And
they always come back. Yeah.
One thing I learned, and this is a golden nugget for anyone out there who's in business, who's just about to start a business or been in business many years. Don't beat yourself up if you're constantly firefighting. As long as you're not lighting the same fires and putting them out, if that makes sense, you're always going to have fires in your business, right? We've got some this morning, we've had some last night, we'll have some tomorrow. Lewis being Lewis, I can always see that there's going to be there's going to be challenges. It's how you plan for them, but it's also how you adapt and how you deal with them. But if you're in business and you don't have and you're worried that you've got all these fires going on, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, I think there's a valid point there. Don't keep starting the same fire. We react, so when we have a challenge, we assess that challenge, we look at it, we go around that challenge to say, okay, what's causing that challenge? How can we eliminate that challenge starting again?
Correct.
And I think a lot of businesses, they put the water on the flames and think, well, that's done, put that out.
Well, to be fair, let's be honest,
it just crops up again.
A lot of people don't even put those fires out; they just keep burning on. If that's so, and I've done that. A lot of people bury that. You call it bury your head in sand, do this, do that, or just think that's going to go away. It's not, and that's what I've learned from like yourself, dealing with it. Not that I've never had done that, but I'm not. I don't like confrontation in certain things, and there has been some things in the past where I don't really want to deal with that. But now that we've got this superstructure around us, and more so with yourself, what I've learned from you is you have to deal with this head on. You have to identify what those problems are, what's caused the fire as such to be lit, how have we put it out, and how are we going to stop that again? Because I think it's fair to say that, look, we're not perfect. We're showcasing us as the founder and the CEO of a very successful business. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but we're not perfect. And I think if anyone could learn just some golden nuggets from any of these podcasts, then it's worth our time doing, right?
Yeah, I think so. No one's ever going to be perfect. But we've got a collective experience bank of over 50 years.
We could sell it. We could get on a stage and sell it.
We could sell it.
You could queue up at the end for training courses for is it 997? Someone's there. They've always got a 7 in the end of it. It was 29,500, but if you come and get your credit card out, it's 997.
Yeah, exactly.
I was joking, by the way.
So, and that presumably is those ridiculous training courses that. We think are an absolute waste of money that people get involved with.
Well, so just on that, so let's put this out.
But that's going to be a thing for later.
But I can leave a little teaser, right?
Go on.
So let's just say this: I've been in this industry for over 10 years. It's rife for people to go and get a property deal, get a little bit of success, whatever you want to call it, then all of a sudden they're a shining star mentor or a training course or a guru. Most of them are broken. Most of them talk shit. And even the ones that are probably leading, in their world, leading the property training industry, I think there's probably 5 or 6 of them. And I think collectively there's about £150 million they take off people. How on earth they sleep at night, I don't know. Very, very wealthy, probably on piles of money. But let's be honest, 90% of those people that invest all that money get fuck all spectacle from it. We used to have behind in my old offices probably 4 years ago, we'd have a plaque. I was told to take it down. I never put it on social media, but the clients would love it. And I'd put these leading companies' names, and every single person that would ring up and want to buy a deal or do this would mark it. It got into its hundreds. The amount of people that we've come across. Look, let's be honest, I'm sure there are some wonderful people out there that sell training products and deliver nothing but success, but they're far and few between. But the point I'm trying to make is so many people would rather pay to be successful, and they go on these weekend training courses, on these online courses. They go out to the real world. It's like being at school. The educational system's fucked in this country. They teach you to pass a test. Once you pass that test, off you go. See you later. And by the way, go to university, get in debt, and retire at 70 years old. And by the way, the government are going to take all your money off you in tax. When you die, we're going to take it all back and all that shit. But Lewis is waffling on. But the point I'm trying to make is there's so many people out there that take millions of pounds off people, but they don't actually get what they're paying for. And that isn't actually the person that's selling it to you, because it's like anything. If you go to this training course and spend 15 grand, this could happen. The reality is it doesn't happen. So they then come to companies like us, tell us that they've just spent 20 grand on training. They then could have invested that in us and get X, Y, and Z. So the point of what I'm trying to make is, over the next coming weeks and months, continue to watch these podcasts, continue to watch the reels that come from what we're going to film in here. Don't buy any more training products, because the content that we're about to give out is more powerful than any training course in the country. Yeah. And it's completely free, by the way. And
it's fair to say, I've been in the property game, bought my first property when I was 21. I've been in and around property. The largest deal that I sold was over 200 million. I've never been on a training course in my life. But the training, or the rip-off training courses, which are an absolute waste of time, they're going to teach you 2/3 of fuck all, excuse my French, and basically what you'll learn in here is way more valuable than you'll ever get from a training course from these pimps that shout out that you're going to be a multi-million man.
Well, look, let's be honest, we're not here, this episode's going a little bit off course, but we're not here to slate the property training industry, but while we are here, we might as well continue talking about it. Look, let's be honest, there's a lot of people that spend an awful lot of money on property training. There's a lot of people that don't get what they want or what they think. Now, I don't think the people intentionally do this, but most of the people that I know don't physically do it themselves. So what I mean by that is, if you want to go on a training course and learn about HMO developments and how to convert a 3-bed into a 5-bed, ideally you want to do that with someone that's done hundreds of them, right? For example, if you want to then go and learn about how to set up an Airbnb business, how to go and source property deals to investors, you want to be able to go and get that knowledge for someone that's done it for at least 4 or 5 years, right? Because people that have done it for 6 months or a year, you've not done it long enough to go through the good, bad and uglies. How can you teach that to someone? Most of the people that I see training come to me in the background and ask me for help. There was someone that launched a training product, what was it, the other month, and he messaged me on Instagram, can you help me with this?
Yeah. I had a lovely lady reach out to me. She went to some training course in Leeds or something like that.
Don't mention the company name.
And she spent £70,000.
Fucking hell.
And had no money left to do anything. And
I'm sure it went Doncaster.
Yeah. But anyway.
But no, let's leave it there. Look, yeah. we're certainly not going to, we've got no intentions at all to disrupt the property training industry. We're far too busy building our businesses and our operations and sharing them with our investors. However, we've invested in this corner of our offices to convert. We're not here to do anything other than add value, right? I put out a post yesterday, Lewis's favourite word at the moment is add value. If we can give up our time, look, let's be honest, it brings awareness to our content. It's going to be completely different than most people, because let's be honest, what people do is they give out content to get you excited for a product. We can do that. I can talk about something now, you'll be watching, and then I launch a product. A lot of people do that in the training industry. Not just in the training industry, any industry. They'll give you enough information to get you excited, and then the next part of the information is you have to be paid for it. Now, don't get me wrong, anyone listening to this that sells your services, there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's a business, but that's on you. The difference with our content, because we've got nothing to sell, we do not sell training courses or educational programs, etc., etc. We're far too busy running our operations. And I'm very grateful for the messages we get. We probably get 5 or 10 messages a day. Do you sell courses? Can we do this? Can we do that? We're just far too busy. That isn't us. However, the point I'm trying to make is some people put a little bit of content. Look at YouTube. YouTube is a great platform, but 90% of operators put enough content out there to get you hooked. The rest of it you have to pay for. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I am saying is stop buying those type of training courses. continue to watch and follow and like and share our content, because let's be honest, what qualifies us to do this? We've sourced and sold thousands and thousands of property deals.
Yep.
In our corporate careers behind us, we've got more experience than most people put together. In the property industry, we've sourced and sold thousands of deals. We've built one of the largest groups out there, and we are still, to this very day, extremely active. We've got thousands of properties under management. We take in millions and millions of pounds on a monthly basis. I think it's fair to say that that qualifies us enough to share our knowledge with you. And if you want to listen to it, it's completely free. The next series of podcasts will be more specific on property. So for example, what is service accommodation, what's rent to rent, what's commercial, what's a buy to let, what's this. We're not going to put out that content to sway you to go buy a training course, because we don't have any. We're not going to put that content out to come buy our property investments, because they are what they are. If you can take any golden nuggets from this content, then all we ask is you keep continuing to watch it and drop us a like. It is completely free. There is nothing coming that you have to buy or sell. We just want to be able to share our knowledge with you, and if it helps and adds value, then it's worth giving up our time.
Perfect.
And let's leave it there.